Hola amigos! It's been a while since I've posted a video for my actor channel, so I thought I would take the time today to sit down and make one. And today I wanted to discuss why I took a year-long break from my training as an actor. So, in actor culture, there is this mentality that if you are not working on a job, you are training constantly. The best actors, when they haven't booked gigs, they are using their downtime to hone their craft as performers. Now, I have over a decade's worth of training on my resume. I have 3 college degrees in theater arts. I have trained with a professional VO studio that does all your favorite video games and animes. They did the recordings for the original Modern Warfare trilogy and the BioShock series and the Persona games and a lot more. On top of that, I have heaps of non-union experience. I have done student films and short films and independent films. I've done lots of community theater. And during my time as a college student, I had done over a dozen stage productions. So I think it's fair to say that when it comes to acting, I am not just an amateur. So, why did I take a break? Well, to cut to the chase of it, I have yet to see a return on investment in career advancement that is equitable to the amount of time and money and effort that I have invested into the development of my skills as a performer. And rather than continue funneling those resources into the same action over and over and over again and seeing very little yield in results, I decided that there were better things that I could be doing with my time and money that would still allow me to work on my skills as an actor while also doing things that would bring me a lot of joy. So how did I reach this conclusion? Well, there's a bit of a story involved. So, even after I left USC, I was still training during the midst of the pandemic. I was doing classes online from my mom's basement out in the Midwest. I was still working on voiceover techniques with a second VO school. I was doing musical theater audition training. I was developing vocals. Helicopter. I was developing my vocal technique and my vocal projection in classes as well. And so I was still doing my best to keep sharp and to keep the dream alive during lockdown. And eventually, as the lockdown started to lift, I was able to make my way back to California after overcoming a lot of obstacles. I was able to find a place to live. Voila. I found myself a manager, and I was able to sign with a few agents. Now, my first agent, who was an absolute sweetheart, and I still adore her to this day, unfortunately, I'm not signed with her anymore. She took me on in the early days of my working professional career, and she got me at my roughest, choppiest start. So those early days were very difficult because I was still trying to develop the systems of production that I would need in order to create good professional actor self-tapes. And I didn't have everything I needed. It was a trial and error process. I didn't have the systems such as a backdrop and a lighting rig and an editing rig to make sure that my self-tapes were on point. So I admit that I was very green in those early days and that my self-tapes were a lot rougher than they are today. Now, why is that important? Because in those early days, I think the quality of my self-tapes left the impression that I was not as well trained or professional as my resume made me out to be. And so she suggested that I get back into actor training. And me being the team player, I wanted to be a people pleaser because I will do whatever it takes, whenever it takes, to get to the goal that I set for myself. And that's always been my mentality, even to this day, is I will do whatever it takes to get to where I want to be. So I agreed, and I went to a teacher that she had recommended to me, and he was absolutely awesome. He really reconnected me with what it meant to be a performer, and that the essence of acting is about having fun. No matter how dark, depressing, or heavy the subject matter may be, the act of acting itself should be a matter of joy and fun. And that's where the passion shines through. Now, in comparison to how I trained at USC was very militant with their instruction. They really broke us down, ground us into dust, so that they could rebuild us into these professional thespians. And that hardline method of training, which even though I really enjoyed it, it did leave an impediment on me after I had graduated, where I was going into auditions very fearful of not knowing the material, even though I had spent hours memorizing, and with a sense of desperation. Especially coming back from the Midwest at the lifting of the lockdown, because every job thereafter became a job that could change my life. Because at the time, I was struggling. My once lucrative night job was no longer as lucrative. I could barely keep the roof over my head. I could barely keep food on the table. And so I was going into these auditions very, very serious and fearful. And I think it showed, it displayed. And so reconnecting with acting via my agent's recommendation was probably one of the best things ever. So why didn't I keep doing it? Well, the answer there is a very practical one. It's expensive. It's expensive, and we were doing scene study via Zoom. And scene study, if you don't know about it, scene study is when you have a group of people, you get together, you pair off into groups of 2 or clusters of 3, and you hash out a scene together. You usually take material from an already established play, because those scripts are designed to be done over and over and over again in different ways. And everyone gets an equal amount of dialogue, so everyone gets a fair shot at doing character work and dissecting subtext and, analyzing motivations of characters and dissecting the interpersonal drama between these characters. Not only is it just an exercise in performance, it's an exercise in objective watching and listening, because the majority of scene study, you are watching other people perform their scenes, and you are learning and collecting knowledge and information and new perspectives from their performances. So, scene study, you only get to actually, run your scene maybe 2 to 4 times before, you're watching 6 other groups ahead of you do their scenes. And so, as much as I loved the instruction that this teacher had introduced me to, his philosophy, it was a lot of money and it was a lot of time to sink into a weekly basis when I was at a critical point of, being 1 or 2 paycheck disasters away from being homeless. And so after many more failed auditions, and then having my first agent drop me, my first theatrical agent drop me. I'm still with my commercial agents, and I still have my second theatrical agent, who is also a dear. After, receiving that blow, I really had to reassess the choices that I was making in my life. And I realized that I was repeating a cycle of training and training and training and trying to prove to people that I am good at what I do and that I have worked towards this, and still not having them believe me or place their faith in me. I also had to ask myself, at what point is it enough to prove to people that I am good at what I do and that I am a more than capable performer and an actor who can easily handle a day player role or a 1 or 2 line part on a sitcom or some Nick Tween show. You know, I'm not coming out of the gate expecting to be, leading man of Hollywood, but it was a very frustrating experience trying to break in. And I just got tired of it. I was stressed, I was fatigued, I was working 6 days a week on top of trying to balance all of this, and I realized that I wasn't living a very happy life, and that my work-life balance was thrown out of whack, and that I could have easily spent another 10 years just training and training and training and still not having a change in any results. So I told myself that, there are other things out there that you could be spending your time and money on that would help you develop new specific skills while also bringing more joy to your life. So I took what limited money I had and I signed up for guitar lessons, and now I'm very privileged enough to work with a master guitarist who is teaching me how to understand music and how to play an instrument. Sorry, cop sirens. I took my spare time and I decided to use it to go learn Spanish at my local library and take free classes. I also have a lot more time to read plays now. So even though I'm not training, I'm still working on my career every single day. I'm still auditioning. I'm still cranking out self-tapes. I am still doing the work. And the reason why I wanted to make this video was simply because there are many other actors who are in a similar situation as I am, where they've been signing up for seminars and casting director workshops, and they're doing acting classes for years and years and years and years, and they're still not getting a break. And as counterintuitive as my approach to this matter may seem, most people are going to say, well, you shouldn't stop training because an opportunity is going to come by and you want to be ready for it, and if you're not ready for it, you are going to miss that opportunity. And that's operating out of a basis of fear. And if acting is anything like riding a bicycle, it's not something you're going to forget how to do right away. If you can read a book, and you can read a book well and tell a story to a child when you're tucking them in at night, that's pretty much like the basis of skills you'll need to be a good actor, if you have the faith in yourself to make bold choices when you're performing. That's another matter completely. Don't rip me up in the comments. But that MO of always training because you never know when an opportunity is going to come knocking is very mired in fear. And I didn't want to keep missing out on life experiences and other things that I really wanted to try just so I could fulfill a dream that might never happen. And so this video is to challenge that perception that you need to constantly be in a state of training, like acting and Hollywood are the next front line of World War III, and you have to be in a constant state of readiness. No. You can develop skills that you can put on a resume that will help your career, but also be entirely separate from acting in general. You know, music, learning languages, things that will make you a more refined, cultured, well educated, and joyous individual. And I have to say that taking a year off from training has been one of the best decisions of my life so far. I think the improvement in quality of my life has really hit a new threshold once I eased back. And also, the X factor that will make you stand out in an audition room is having life experience. And life experience and unique experiences are not something that you can create organically just training in a black box studio all the time. Now, this video is not to disavow the importance of training. If you are a new actor and you are aspiring to make a career either in cinema or on the stage, you definitely need to train. Okay? There is no way around that. To be a professional actor, you need amazing training and you need a body of work to prove that you can do what you want to do. But if you're like me and the 99% of other actors out there who are educated in formal, conservatory structure, styles of actor education, or, just classical theater training, or you have years and years and years of experience in an acting studio and you still are barely booking anything and it just feels like rejection constantly 90% of the time, it's not you, okay? The amount of jobs out there compared to the amount of participants competing for those roles is extremely skewed. There's not going to be roles for everyone. It is extremely competitive, and that is not a reflection on who you are as a performer or your level of skill or your level of talent. You could be the greatest actor in the world and you won't get hired for a job because you're 2 inches too short, okay? It's the actor, casting, director dichotomy. It's very split. So don't take it personally. And if you're thinking about taking a break from constant training because you are burned out and tired, go for it. You have nothing to lose and all the world to gain and experience. Hollywood is not going anywhere. Broadway is not going anywhere. There are always going to be more auditions. The predatory seminar proctors and acting instructors that you come across online in all of your actor Facebook groups, who are charging $60 a session to $250 a week lessons, they're not going anywhere either, okay? That's a topic for another day. But I wanted to make this video because I've seen a lot of my peers who are struggling either as bad as I was or worse than I was have such an unhealthy amount of self-doubt, or they also have an egregious amount of stress because their passions are so alive but the opportunities just aren't there, and they take it personally when they don't book a gig. It's not you. It's just the system working against us. And there is nothing wrong with you. There is no shame at all if you just want to step away and breathe for a bit and try something else that will make you more joyous, more happy. Go for it. Okay? And there's another airplane going overhead, but Anyways, thank you for listening to my little story time rant. It felt really good to share that. And don't worry about other people judging you. You're doing the work. Just keep doing the best you can. Okay?